Imagine waking up to discover that your entire income stream has been put on hold overnight. In my 2 years of selling on Amazon, I faced 2 account suspensions that completely reshaped my experience. Each time, I felt the weight of uncertainty. I put so much time, effort and money into creating this business. The moment I received the notification, it was a gut punch. My listings were pulled, my inventory was locked up, I was unable to sell a single unit. The stress was overwhelming, especially when I started to think about the bills and responsibilities that I had, and those hard-earned lessons from those experiences. I'll cover the key factors that led to those suspensions, and I'll take you through the steps I took to get the account back up and running. If you stay until the end, I've got a free gift that will help you tremendously. It's not just about avoiding mistakes, it's about understanding Amazon's ecosystem and how to navigate it successfully and adapting to its complexities. I hope my story can help you navigate the challenges of selling on Amazon and protect your businesses from similar setbacks. Let's start with a truly depressing sentence. Let's deal with each account deactivation separately. There I was, just walking back to my car after dropping off some parcels at UPS, when, like any obsessed seller, I was checking my Seller Central app, seeing how many sales I had for the day. Your account has been deactivated. Excuse me? At first, I was just confused. I was refreshing the app. I was just convinced the app was bugging out. It wasn't. The account was deactivated. At this point, I started to panic. I sat there in my car. I was freaking out. I felt sick. I was devastated. I was only a few months into selling. I hadn't really made any money yet, but I was just coming off the back of record sales week with sales improving every day. I was starting to really feel like I'd cracked it. Then I sort of snapped out of it. No, this is wrong. This is a mistake. I checked my email and there it was in black and white. Your account has been deactivated. Why is this happening? You supplied documentation to Amazon which appears to be forged or manipulated in the gating application submitted. Now I was really confused because obviously I've never done anything like that. I was basically being accused of faking a document in order to be able to get ungated in a brand. Now I'm no legal expert, but that kind of sounds like fraud to me. I called the Amazon account health team and they basically just repeated what was said in the email. They told me to submit an appeal and a POA, which is a plan of action. I was still very confused, but in a way I was kind of calm because I knew I hadn't forged or manipulated any documents, but your mind still races. Big problem I had is they wouldn't tell me which document they thought was fake. This was infuriating. I look back over all my ungating applications. I'd made about 20 in the previous week, about 30 in the previous month, and it was well over 100 since I've been selling. It is easy to criticise Amazon seller support. I've done it myself many times, and in my opinion, they're severely lacking. However, in this instance, I did kind of get where they were coming from. As far as they're concerned, for whatever reason, they think I've faked, manipulated, forged a document. So if they've caught me once, maybe I've done it many, many other times. So in their eyes, they don't want to tell me the document in case I incriminate myself further. So I do understand their approach in this instance, even though it was really frustrating. For those of you that have never had your account deactivated, and I pray for your sake it never happens, let me just run through exactly what happens. All your listings are deactivated, so you can't sell anything. You can't send any stock into Amazon. Not that you'd want to in this situation, but obviously it does mean you're going to have recent orders maybe stuck at your prep centre or even at your house. You can still access your account, but the only thing you can do is submit an appeal for this issue. So how do you appeal? There are many reasons why your account might be deactivated, but the appeal process is generally the same. You have to submit a POA, which is a plan of action, and any supporting documents. So how do you write a POA? Well, there's 3 questions you get asked and have to answer. What was the root cause of the issue? What are the actions you have taken to resolve the issue? What are the steps you have taken to prevent the issue from occurring again? In a lot of cases, these questions are relatively simple to answer and your account should be reinstated fairly quickly. In this instance, I had no idea what document they were talking about. I didn't really know what the issue was, and I certainly didn't have a clue how to resolve it going forward. I wrote a fairly generic POA talking about how I only buy products from legitimate retailers and that have a very strict document control process. I then submitted invoices for the last month's worth of ungating applications. It took around 5 days to get a response, and as you'd probably imagine if you've ever dealt with seller support, it was rejected. This happened a few times, but every time I was rejected, I made sure to immediately call the account health team and have a discussion on the phone. The first time I called them, they were happy with the POA, but it was the forged invoice that was the problem. It took weeks of submissions and many hours on the phone, and I finally found out which invoice they were referring to. This then allowed me to send some further information, such as email order confirmation, delivery confirmation, and I was even able to take a screenshot of the account on the retailer website, showing my order was legitimate. This was very important because it allowed the account health team to be a bit more open with me about the situation. For those of you that don't know how the account health team work, basically it's split into 2 teams. There's one team that reviews all the submissions, and then a completely separate team that does the communication with us as sellers. I'm not entirely sure why they do it like that, but the bottom line is we are never able to speak to the people that actually make decisions regarding these issues. We're kind of speaking to a middleman. They're also able to submit notes onto our account, which the reviewers can then look at when they go through the next submission. From these discussions, I was finally able to work out why they thought I'd forged the documents. In case you weren't aware, from time to time, Amazon do spot checks on all documents that you submit to them. So in my instance, it was for an ungating application. What they'd done is they'd contacted the retailer and they were just asking to confirm whether the invoices that I'd submitted to them were legitimate. My gating application consisted of 2 invoices. When Amazon asked about the second invoice, the retailer confirmed there were only 4 units on that invoice, not the 7 that Amazon were expecting. Amazon's logical conclusion was that I've obviously manipulated this invoice to reflect 7 units rather than the 4 the retailer was telling Amazon should be on the invoice. Now this completely spun me. I had absolutely no idea why the retailer would have said what they said. I literally passed on to Amazon the invoices that the retailer had supplied to me. So the fact there was a discrepancy, I just couldn't get my head around it. I immediately contacted the retailer, explained the situation, and fortunately we were able to get to the bottom of it. The second order had actually been split into 2 separate deliveries because of stock availability. Now the internal processes of this particular retailer, what they'd done is they therefore split the 2 deliveries into 2 separate invoices. One invoice keeping the same number that they'd sent to me, and then a second completely separate invoice which they never sent to me. So on their internal systems they had 2 invoices, one for 4 units, one for 3 units, but myself I'd only ever been given the 7 unit invoice. This meant when Amazon contacted them, giving them the invoice number, they read off their internal system that there was only 4 units on it. Therefore, Amazon could only jump to one logical conclusion. Fortunately, the retailer was amazing. They jumped straight on the phone with Amazon. They got it cleared up, and I was back up and activated within a few hours. Realistically, it was such a simple fix, but it took 8 very long and very painful weeks. I never gave up because ultimately I knew I'd done nothing wrong. I was being accused of something I categorically hadn't done. But your mind plays tricks on you. The process was so long, so drawn out, so unsettling. Honestly, it was one of the craziest times of my life, and not in a good way. And then to add to that, I've invested all this money, all this time. I'm starting to see the possibilities. I'm starting to feel like I'm creating a real business, and then boom, ripped away from me. Now, take a break, grab a tissue, because now we're going to talk about the second deactivation. Exactly 12 months later, it happened again. This time, however, it was slightly different. It wasn't quite an account deactivation this time. I was on holiday for the first time with my family. This time, on the first day of my family holiday, I went to log into my seller account and I couldn't. Account closed. Your account has been closed for misuse of Amazon services. We have sent you an email with additional information. I laughed. First thought was, here we go again. Checked my emails, absolutely nothing. At this point, I just wanted to throw my laptop out the window. However, I've been here before and I will not be beaten. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. But let's focus. This time was different. Firstly, on the app, I was still getting sales. That was a big difference and a big relief. Secondly, when I viewed Amazon through my personal account, I could still see my listings were active. Again, big relief. And thirdly, my prep center could still access my account and create shipments for me. So this was very, very different. Even though it claimed my account was closed, it appeared it was just a case that I couldn't log in. So far less stressful, but still a huge nightmare. One of the big problems this time was because I couldn't log into my account, I couldn't contact seller support. I did reach out to seller support via their Twitter. They told me everything was fine, my account was still active, there was no issues. They did mention that I should change my one-time password method next time I log in. But I can't log in. But when you do log in, make sure you change it because that will solve the issue. But I can't log in. But if you do make this change, it will solve the problem. But I can't log in. But when you do log in, make sure you do change it. I can't log in, I can't log in. Oh my God, I can't log in. And breathe, deep breaths, deep breaths. After doing some research, it seemed that this message was a buying account issue rather than a selling account issue. You see, a lot of people, including myself, we do something called A to A, so Amazon to Amazon. That's where you buy products from Amazon when they are low, and then you sell them again on Amazon when the price goes high again. Perfectly legitimate, not at all against terms and conditions. No issues doing it whatsoever, and it's a really good business model. The advice, however, is to make sure when you're doing this, you're using a different buying account to the one with your seller account. When you set up a seller account, you need to use an email address and you're automatically assigned a buying account under that email address. So the advice is if you're doing A to A, don't use the account associated with that email address, use a completely separate account. The reason for this is should Amazon decide to close your buying account, let's say for example you return a lot of items, Amazon are within their right to turn around and say you're returning too many items, we don't want you to buy from us anymore, so we're closing your account. So when they do that, they'll close your buying account, but because you're using the same email address as your seller account, that will have problems with your seller account as well. They've decided I can't use my buyer account, so therefore I'm now struggling to access my seller account. The only issue with this, not only have I never returned an item, I've never even bought one using that account. Maybe there's another option. I do have a separate account that I do use to buy products to sell back on Amazon. So maybe they've linked the two accounts and they've shut them both. But when I check that second account, perfectly fine, up and running, I can still buy whatever I want. So maybe it's my personal account that's registered at the same address. No, that's fine. I need to go for another walk. Oh, I need to calm down. I'm getting angry just thinking about it again. So I think I've got the reason why this is happening, sort of, but it doesn't massively help because I still can't access the account. However, it did give me another avenue to explore. If it is related to a buying account, then I can contact the buying customer service for Amazon. If you've ever had to use Amazon's customer service, then you know it's chalk and cheese compared to seller support. They bend over backwards to do whatever it is to help the customer. I spoke to them over the phone for over an hour. They were able to put notes on my account. They also gave me an email address to contact. And they even said they were going to flag it for management. The result of all this was after 6 long, painful weeks, I was able to get access to my account again. I received a confirmation email saying that I was no longer able to use the account because I'd returned too many items, even though I'd never even bought anything. However, I would still be able to use it for downloading digital content. At this point, I didn't care. I had my seller account back. I wasn't using the buyer account anyway. I was just very happy to be able to sell again. The irony of all this is that actually when I went to check my account, I can still use it to buy stuff. So I don't really understand what happened, but the bottom line is I was able to find a solution. So there we have it. That's my story of how I overcame 2 account suspensions, and I'm delighted to still be selling today. I've very much given you the condensed version today. As beautiful as I am, you're not going to want to sit here for 2 hours listening to all the gory details. So what I have done is I've put together a fully comprehensive account health guide. Throughout this whole process, I've become somewhat of an account health expert. It's definitely not what I wanted. I didn't want to do this. I didn't aim to do this. But spending 14 weeks trying to get your account back, you unfortunately become a bit of an expert in this field. The guide includes how to look after your account health score, how to appeal traditional closures, how to reinstate access to your account should you lose access, and probably most importantly in the current climate, how to fight a Section 3 suspension. This guide is packed with tips and tricks that I've gained from my own experiences and research. If you're ready to take control and navigate this process with confidence, I invite you to check it out. Just go to the first link in the description below to download your free copy. It's suitable for any marketplace and whether you do arbitrage, wholesale or private label. In conclusion, dealing with an account suspension can feel like a major setback, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. I learned valuable lessons that not only helped me get my account back, they also made my business stronger. If you found this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribed for further content. I also encourage you to share your thoughts and questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Don't forget to grab your copy of the free guide. It could really help you on your journey. Thank you so much for watching.